H-01 stepped onto the bridge, every eye on him. His armor gleamed with scars of old battles. The ancient weapon he carried hummed with energy, a relic from humanity's darkest days. Reyna's voice was steady but tense. "What exactly are you planning to do?" He looked at her, eyes glowing faintly. "I'm going to remind Earth why they tried to erase me." Zane swallowed hard. "You mean, go back to Earth?" H-01 nodded slowly. "I wasn't just a weapon. I was a warning. Now it's time they listened." The Valiant prepared to jump. Everyone felt the weight of what was coming. As the ship powered up, Reyna stood by H-01. "If Earth wants a fight, they'll get one. But I hope it's not the war they want." H-01's voice was quiet but fierce. "They don't want war. They want control." The jump to Earth's sector was rough. The stars blurred as the ship pierced the speed of light. Then silence. The Valiant dropped out of hyperspace just outside Earth's orbital defenses. Sensors immediately lit up. Earth's fleet was waiting, ships bristling with weapons and scanners. Reyna stared at the screen. "They surrounded us." Suddenly, the communication channel opened. Commander Silas's voice, cold and sharp. "This is your final warning. Surrender H-01 or be destroyed." Reyna's jaw tightened. "We don't surrender." H-01 stepped forward. "I will go alone." Reyna shook her head. "You can't. We need you." He smiled grimly. "I'm the ghost they fear. If I'm here, they can't ignore what's coming." The Valiant launched a small shell. Inside, H-01 prepared for his solo mission to Earth's surface. As he approached the planet, memories flooded back. The trials, the betrayals, the cold silence after his disappearance. On Earth, the surface was quiet but heavily guarded. His arrival triggered alarms everywhere. Soldiers and drones mobilized, but none dared approach him directly. H-01 moved through the shadows of a forgotten city. He searched for answers. Why was he erased? What did Earth fear so much? Inside a hidden bunker, he found a data core labeled Project Exile, Containment, and Erasure. His fingers trembled as he accessed the files. The screen showed classified files of his creation, a weapon designed to win wars, but too powerful for its creators. Earth had sealed him away to prevent him from becoming a threat. But there was more. The data revealed a darker secret. Plans to use him as a means to control or destroy entire star systems. H-01 clenched his fists. They never wanted a hero. They wanted a weapon. Suddenly, the bunker door exploded open. Commander Silas and his soldiers stormed in. Silas smirked. "You should have stayed erased." H-01's eyes flared. "I'm not your weapon anymore." A fierce battle broke out. H-01 moved with speed and precision no soldier could match. The old weapon in his hand sang death. Back on the Valiant, Reyna and the crew watched the fight unfold through hack surveillance. Zane whispered, "He's holding his own, but Silas isn't backing down." Kale said, "This isn't just a fight, it's a reckoning." On Earth, as the last soldier fell, H-01 faced Silas. "You can't erase what you don't understand," he said. Silas snarled, "You'll be a ghost again, or worse." But before he could strike, a fleet appeared in orbit, not Earth's. The Valiant fleet, led by Reyna, had come to support. Weapons powered up, ready to protect their own. Silas's face went pale. "Reinforcements." H-01 smiled coldly. "You underestimated us." The screen cut to black. The silent stars exploded with fire. Reyna's fleet surrounded Earth's orbital defenses like a tightening noose. The Valiant stood at the center, weapons glowing bright. Commander Silas watched in horror as reinforcements filled the sky. "This wasn't supposed to happen," he muttered. On Earth's surface, H-01 and Silas squared off. Silas raised his weapon, voice cold and furious. "You betray your own kind." H-01 smiled grimly. "I'm not their pawn anymore." Back on the Valiant, Reyna gripped the controls. "Prepare to engage. Let's end this before it becomes a full war." Zane nodded. "I don't want more death, but we have no choice." The first shots rang out like thunder. Laser beams cut through space, ships twisting and weaving. Alien vessels on the edge of the system watched silently, waiting for the outcome. On Earth, H-01 fought like a storm. Each move was precise, every strike deadly. But Silas was cunning, using every trick he knew. Suddenly, A massive explosion shook the city. The bunker collapsed. Reyna's voice came over the comm, tense. H01, status. Static. No answer. Zane's face paled. We lost contact. Kale slammed a fist on the console. We can't lose him now. In the wreckage, H01 pushed through dust and fire. Silas advanced, weapon ready. But then the ground trembled. A hidden chamber beneath the city opened. From the darkness, a figure emerged. An old man, cloaked in shadows, holding a staff glowing with ancient energy. Enough bloodshed, he said calmly. Silas hesitated. Who are you? The man's eyes glowed. I am the last guardian of Earth's forgotten past. H01 stood, wiping blood from his face. Then you know the truth, he said. The guardian nodded slowly. You were not meant to be erased. You were meant to be remembered. Meanwhile, in orbit, Reyna's fleet battled fiercely. Alien ships, sensing the conflict, began to close in. Reyna realized the fight wasn't just about Earth or H01 anymore. It was about survival for all humanity. Back on Earth, the Guardian raised his staff. Energy flowed through the air, surrounding Silas and his soldiers. You cannot win by fear. Silas snarled, but his weapons faltered. H01 took a deep breath. Then it's time for a new beginning. He raised his ancient weapon high. A beam of light shot into the sky, piercing the darkness. The alien fleet hesitated. Reyna saw it on the sensors. They're watching, waiting. Zane whispered, Are they afraid? Reyna nodded. Or maybe they're waiting for the right moment. On the surface, the battle paused. Silas and the Guardian faced each other, tension thick in the air. H01 looked to Reyna through the comm. This isn't over, he said. We're ready, Reyna replied. The screen faded to black. The stars above Earth were silent. A fragile calm spread over the battlefield. Reyna's fleet held position, weapons ready but not firing. H01 stood beside the Guardian, both watching Commander Silas carefully. Silas clenched his fists. You think you've won. This is only the beginning. The Guardian shook his head slowly. No, Silas. This is the moment to choose. War or peace. Reyna's voice came steady through the calm. Earth's fate isn't decided by fear or power. It's decided by what we do now. Zane added quietly, We can fight forever, or we can find another way. The alien fleet remained just outside the system, watching carefully. Their leader sent a message. Withdraw or join the fight. H01 stepped forward. We're tired of being weapons and pawns. We want peace. Silas sneered. Peace. With those who betrayed us? With those who erased me? The Guardian raised his staff. Hatred only destroys. Forgiveness rebuilds. He turned to H01. You are Earth's hope, not its curse. Suddenly, alarms blared. Reyna's ship shook violently. Alien ships are attacking, she shouted. The calm shattered. Battle erupted again, but this time, Reyna's fleet fought with renewed purpose. Zane shouted, For Earth, for freedom. H01 raced to the Valiant's command center. Hold the line, Reyna ordered. The crew fired back with everything they had. The alien fleet pressed hard, but Earth's defenders were fierce. The battle pushed and pulled, laser beams lighting the darkness like lightning. In the midst of chaos, Silas made a choice. He dropped his weapon. I see now, he said, voice low. This isn't just about power. The alien ships formed a tight circle around the Valiant. Their engines hummed, silent but powerful. Red lights blinked from their hulls, targeting systems locked. Inside the bridge, the crew watched in frozen silence. They're not firing, Kale whispered. Why aren't they firing? Reyna stared at the main screen. 18 enemy warships. All heavily armed, all waiting. Waiting for what? H01 stepped forward, calm as ever. They're stalling. Why? Reyna asked. To see if I'm still alive, he said. They're trying to confirm it. Zane's hand shook. If they find out you err, they'll run again. H01 interrupted. Or they'll call for something worse. Reyna narrowed her eyes. What do you mean worse? He turned to her. A purge fleet. On the alien flagship, Admiral Vorn of the Xilari stared at his screens. No signs of direct engagement, his second officer said. But life forms are moving inside the human vessel. One matches the ancient human combat profile. Vorn's claws clicked on the control panel. Impossible. That unit was erased. We saw the stasis vault burn during the Orion collapse. The officer didn't respond. Vorn leaned forward. Zoom. Right there. Freeze. That face. They watched the screen in silence. Begin transmission. Vorn ordered. To all fleet commanders. Code Omega Black. The officer hesitated. That will summon the purge. I know. Vorn said, eyes hard. And if he's alive, that's the only option. Back on the Valiant, Kale shouted from the console. They're transmitting something. Code is scrambled, but it's high priority, top-tier fleet command. Reyna looked at H-01. You knew this would happen. Yes, he said. Then, why let us wake you? He turned slowly, because they already feared me. I just needed them to remember why. 10 minutes later, the alien ships vanished, just like the last fleet. Jumped to lightspeed without firing a single shot. Zane exhaled. Gone. Kale shook his head. No messages. No warning. They just left. Reyna stared at the empty screen. They're calling for something else, aren't they? H-01 nodded. Something older than your wars. Something built for extinction. You mean like you? No, he said quietly. Worse than me. Reyna called a private meeting in the captain's quarters. H-01 stood in the shadows as the remaining senior officers gathered. We need to understand what we've woken up, Zane said. He's not just a soldier. He's a myth. A weapon so dangerous, the galaxy pretended he never existed. Reyna kept her voice steady. I don't trust him. But we're surrounded. Cut off. We need help. And he's all we've got. Zane leaned in. Or he's what's drawing the fire. Everyone went silent. Until H-01 spoke. I didn't choose to be made. They did. Your old leaders. The War Council. They created me to win a war they were losing. And when I did, they buried me. Reyna stared at him. Why? Because I won too well. Later, Reyna found herself alone with him in the observation deck. She looked out into the stars. What exactly are you? He leaned against the wall. Enhanced human. Cybernetic bones. Neural accelerators. Quantum combat interface. I think fast, I move faster. But the worst part isn't what I am. It's what I remember. What do you mean? I remember what we used to be, he said quietly. Before treaties. Before peace. Before humanity decided to be civilized. You make that sound like a bad thing. For the galaxy, he said, turning to face her. Yes. 3 hours later, the sensors blared again. But this time, it wasn't an enemy fleet. It was a single object, ripping through space like a meteor, straight toward them. Reyna stood frozen. What is that? Zane whispered. It's not showing any engine trail. No radiation signature. Just heat. Kale's screen flickered. Then it showed a symbol none of them had seen before, except one. H-01's eyes narrowed. That's a Mark 6 exile bomb. Reyna spun around. What? It's not meant to explode. It's meant to erase. Kale panicked. Time to impact. 4 minutes. H-01 moved fast. Too fast for the eye to follow. He was already in the launch bay when Reyna arrived, out of breath. You can't go out there alone. I have to, he said, stepping into an old fighter pod. Your ship's defenses are too weak. One touch from that thing and your entire memory core will wipe. You won't even remember being human. You won't make it back. He paused. I wasn't built to come back. Just to stop what others can't. As the small fighter shot out of the launch bay, the crew watched from the bridge. Reyna stood frozen, fists clenched. Zane whispered, You think he can stop it? Reyna didn't answer. She just stared at the screen as the fighter and the bomb rushed toward each other, seconds from impact. In deep space, 2 objects raced toward each other. One was a bomb, black, silent, and shaped like a blade. Designed not to explode, but to erase, to delete entire species from memory. The other was a man in a tiny fighter pod, barely large enough to hold him. H-01. Inside his pod, alarms screamed. Speed was critical. Accuracy. Everything. He didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Didn't fear. On the Valiant, the crew watched helplessly as the collision countdown dropped. Reyna stood frozen. Kale shouted, 30 seconds. Zane leaned forward, whispering, If he misses. He won't. Reyna said, but her voice shook. Inside the pod, H-01's eyes locked onto the incoming bomb. Its smooth surface shimmered with invisible energy. His fingers danced across the controls, calculating fusion destabilizer, aligning quantum disruptor, locking neural override. A synthetic voice replied, "Impact in 12 seconds. Ejection not advised." He didn't respond. Instead, he pulled a hidden lever. Something under his seat clicked open. A red capsule, glowing, pulsing with strange light. He took it, swallowed it, then whispered to himself, "Let's see if the galaxy still fears us." The Valiant's screen went white. A silent flash. No explosion. Just a ripple across space, like a wave folding reality. Then darkness. "Did it hit?" Kale whispered. "No idea," Reyna said. "We've lost all visuals." Zane stared at the static screen. "He's gone." Reyna gritted her teeth. "Don't say that." Then something moved. A shape in the distance. Kale gasped. "Contact. One life form. No engine trail, no ship." Reyna's heart skipped. "What?" Zane leaned closer. "He's outside, in open space." Kale turned. "He's not dead." But when the camera zoomed in, even they were shocked. It was H-01, drifting. His armor cracked, his skin glowing faintly, but alive, and carrying a piece of the bomb in one hand. They pulled him in through emergency docking. Reyna ran to the bay. She found him kneeling on the floor, surrounded by smoke, still holding the melted piece of the erasure device. "What are you?" she asked softly. He looked up, blood on his face. "The reason they built the bomb." Later in the medical bay, Zane whispered to Kale. He caught it, with his bare hands. That thing could have erased the ship, and he caught it. Kale nodded slowly. "This isn't a soldier. This is something else." Hours later, Reyna stood beside H-01 as he rested. "You shouldn't be alive," she said. He opened his eyes. "I wasn't meant to be." Reyna frowned. "Why are they so afraid of you?" He looked at her. "Because I was never meant to choose." She tilted her head. "Choose what? Who to fight for?" Before she could ask more, an alarm rang. Kel's voice came through the comm. "Captain, you need to see this. Now." Reyna ran to the bridge. The main screen showed something massive. A fleet, but not alien. Not Silari. Human. Reyna's eyes widened. "Is that?" Zane whispered. "Earth's fleet? That's impossible. We're too far out." Kale pointed. "Look at their signals." Reyna squinted, then froze. The signals were wrong. Too perfect. Too clean. Zane's face paled. "That's not a rescue fleet." Reyna's voice went flat. "It's a cleanup team." She turned to the intercom. "All hands to alert. Prepare for silent running." Zane whispered, "They're here for him, aren't they?" Reyna nodded. "They're here to finish what they started." On the medical bed, H-01 sat up slowly. He had heard everything. And he smiled, not with joy, but with understanding. "They finally remembered," he whispered. "What they buried." He stood up, cracked his knuckles, and walked toward the weapons locker. Back on the bridge, the human fleet hailed them. A voice came through. Cold. Precise. "This is Commander Silas of Earth Strategic Containment. You are holding a Class 0 forbidden entity. Release it, or be erased." Reyna stood tall. "This ship is under independent command. We don't recognize Earth's silent protocols." A pause. Then, "Very well. You have 30 minutes." The line cut. Kale whispered, "We can't fight them." Zane looked at Reyna. "What'd we do?" Reyna didn't answer, because just then, H-01 stepped onto the bridge, in full armor, his eyes glowing, and in his hand, an ancient weapon no one had seen in 100 years. "I'll go out there," he said. Reyna turned to him. "And do what?" He smiled. "Remind them who I used to be." The pod was silent, but the ship was not. All over Valiant, strange things started happening. Doors that hadn't worked in days suddenly opened. Lights blinked on and off for no reason. A low hum began in the ship's walls, deep and steady, like a heartbeat. The crew didn't notice at first, but soon, the changes became impossible to ignore. Reyna stood in the sealed chamber, staring at the frozen man. The frost on the pod's glass was slowly melting. Kale said it was just the ship's heat, But Reyna wasn't sure. This man, he didn't feel like someone sleeping. He felt like someone waiting. Zane stepped closer. Captain, we need to make a decision. He's drawing power from the main core. Our life support systems are losing strength. Disconnect him, Reyna ordered. Kale hesitated. That could kill him. I said disconnect, she repeated. We're not waking someone who made an alien fleet retreat. Not without answers. Kale worked quickly. He connected a backup generator and pulled the main cable from the stasis pod. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every screen on the ship flashed red. Warning. Stasis field failing. Subject H01. Release imminent. Reyna's eyes widened. What's H01? Kale's face turned pale. I don't know. This pod's not standard military. It's older, classified tech, probably black site level. A loud clang shook the room. The pod's locks hissed. Steam rushed out. The glass lifted, slowly. The man inside opened his eyes. They glowed faint blue. No one moved. Reyna stepped forward, hand on her sidearm. Who are you? The man sat up. He looked around slowly, taking in the faces, the uniforms, the blinking lights. Then he spoke. I'm the reason they ran. His voice was calm, cold, like he didn't care if they lived or died. Reyna stayed firm. That's not an answer. I was part of Earth's first real war, he said. Before the Federation, before the treaties, back when humans fought dirty, and won. Kale's voice cracked. That was over a century ago. Yes, the man said. And when the war ended, they locked me away. Said I was too dangerous. Said I broke the rules. Reyna narrowed her eyes. And did you? The man smiled. Of course. They took him to the bridge under heavy guard. The crew whispered behind his back. Some called him a ghost. Others called him a monster. No one knew what to believe. He gave no name. Just the code, H01. Zane checked the military archives. The file was locked. Even Reyna's clearance couldn't open it. But the alien database, that told a different story. When Zane ran a scan of H01's face against known records, the computer beeped. Match found. Galactic criminal. Level Omega. Status. Kill on sight. Reyna read the screen and froze. They listed him as a weapon, she whispered. Not a person. Later, H01 stood alone at the observation window. He watched the stars in silence. Reyna approached him. Why were you on this ship? I don't know, he said. Last I remember, I was on a different ship. The war was ending. They told me to stand down. I refused. They locked you in stasis? They said it was mercy. His voice was bitter. Maybe they hoped I'd never wake up. Reyna hesitated. But now you're awake. And the aliens, they fear you. He nodded. Because they remember what humans used to be. She frowned. What do you mean? He looked at her, eyes glowing faintly. You've grown soft. Peaceful. You forgot how dangerous you once were. That night, alarms screamed across the ship. Incoming vessels. Zane rushed to the bridge. More alien ships. 18 this time. And Captain, they're surrounding us. Reyna stood, calm but tense. Weapons. Still offline. She looked at H01. Can you fight? He smiled. The stars outside were cold and still, but inside the human warship Valiant, everything was tense. Captain Reyna stood in front of the large screen on the bridge. Her crew was silent. Everyone stared at the display showing an alien fleet. 12 massive warships, shaped like dark spears, floating toward them. They had no way to run. The Valiant was badly damaged. Smoke drifted from broken panels. Sparks dropped from overhead wires. Half the engines were dead. Their weapons were offline. They were floating, alone and silent, in deep space. Reyna's voice was calm, but inside she was ready to die. Report, she said. Lieutenant Zane, her second in command, looked pale. Shields are gone. Weapons offline. Engines still not responding. We have no escape. Reyna nodded. And the alien fleet. Locked on us, Captain. All 12 of them. That's when it happened. The alien ships stopped moving. Not all at once. First just one, then another, then the rest. Like a wave of fear had passed through them. They floated in place. And then, one turned away. What are they doing? Whispered Ensign Lyra. Why aren't they firing? Reyna narrowed her eyes. Zoom in. The screen focused on the nearest alien ship. It was turning. Engines powering up. But not for an attack. It was retreating. Then another followed. And another. In seconds, all 12 alien ships turned away from the human warship. No message. No warning. Just fear. What just happened? Zane asked, breaking the silence. They saw something, Reyna said. Her voice was steady, but her hands were clenched. And whatever it was, it scared them. An hour later, the bridge was still full of questions. The crew whispered among themselves. Some thought the aliens had seen reinforcements. Some believed it was a trap. But Reyna had a different idea. Run a full scan of this ship, she ordered. Top to bottom. I want to know if something changed. Anything. Her voice cut through the doubts. The crew nodded and obeyed. While they worked, Reyna sat in her chair and stared at the stars. She thought about the past, about Earth's wars with the alien coalition, about the humans they'd lost, about the fear in the eyes of those alien captains. Fear. It didn't make sense. The Valiant was weak, barely holding together. No weapons, no shields, no threat. So why had they fled? 2 hours later, the scans found something strange. There's a hidden chamber, said Chief Engineer Kale. It's buried deep in the lower decks. No one's been down there. It's not in the ship's blueprints. Could it be alien tech? Zane asked. Kale shook his head. No, sir. It's old. But it's human. Reyna stood. Show me. The lower deck was dark and cold. The team moved carefully, using handheld lights. The walls were covered in old wires and strange panels no one had seen before. The air smelled like dust and metal. Finally, they reached the sealed door. Heavy. Ancient. A symbol glowed faintly in the center, an old Earth military emblem. This isn't from our time, Kale said. This door, it's at least 100 years old. Maybe more. Reyna stepped forward. She touched the panel. The symbol blinked once. Then the door hissed open. Inside was silence. A single pod rested in the middle of the room, thick glass, covered in frost. Lights blinked slowly on its side. Inside the pod was a human, a man, muscular, tall, wearing an old black Earth combat suit. His arms were crossed over his chest, his eyes closed, and across his chest, one word was printed in faded red letters. Exiled. Reyna stared at him. Is he alive? She asked. Kale ran a scan. Yes. In stasis. Heartbeat is slow, but steady. He's been asleep for a long time. Why is there a stasis pod on our ship that no one knew about? Zane asked. And who is this guy? Reyna turned back to the pod. He's the reason they ran. Zane frowned. Captain, he's just one man. Reyna shook her head. No, not just a man. Someone dangerous. Someone the aliens recognize. And fear. Back on the bridge, Reyna stared at the alien fleet, now small specks in distance. She thought about the word on the pod, exiled. That meant someone Earth had once locked away. Someone too dangerous to kill, too powerful to use. And now, he was on her ship, asleep. Reyna looked at her crew. Keep the pod sealed, she said, but prepare a backup power supply. I want to know what this man did, and why the aliens fear him. Zane nodded slowly. You think they'll come back? Reyna didn't answer. She looked at the stars again, her voice quiet but sharp. They will, and next time, they'll bring more than 12 ships. He turned to the Guardian and H-01. Maybe, peace is possible. The alien leader's message came again. We observe your choice. We will stand down, if peace is truly your aim. Reyna exhaled deeply. Tell them yes. The warship's weapons powered down. The tension slowly melted. H-01 looked up at the stars, hope shining in his eyes. Maybe this time, humans and aliens can live together. Reyna smiled. We have to believe that. Earth's future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it felt possible. The alien fleet turned away. Peace, fragile but real, had begun.